The Philippine Nurses Association of Nevada now brings you FilipiNars, news and features about the Filipino-American nursing community and beyond. And now, here's your host, Doris Bauer.
Good evening, FilipiNars listeners and followers. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Thank you for joining us again. We do appreciate your continued support to this PNANV project, which is the FilipiNars. PNANV, of course, stands for Philippine Nurses Association of Nevada. Well, in the past year, the past year has actually been the most difficult year for everyone due to COVID. I'm sure y'all will agree, due to the COVID pandemic, it has affected all of us in all walks of life, in all jobs and professions. And in the past year, however, we have seen leaders from all types of occupations rise up to the occasion to help and deal with this pandemic, all showing strength and resilience. Well, March is National Women's History Month, so today at FilipiNars, we are featuring 3 women of strength and resilience in their respective fields of healthcare, education, and civic engagement. So please welcome to our broadcast Ms. Joanne Rupiper, Ms. Joan Ebert, and Gloria Cowelli. Welcome, ladies. I'm glad you guys are here today. I know y'all are busy, so thank you. All right, we are going to start with the healthcare lady here, and that is Ms. Joanne Rupiper. Let me give a little introduction to show your showcase what you're doing, Joanne, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
Sure.
Yeah, so Joanne is an MPH, a BSN RN. She is the chief administrative nurse for the Southern Nevada Health District. She's been a registered nurse for 40 years with 30 years of experience in public health nursing, including immunizations, maternal, maternal health. Ms. Rupiper has the oversight of the clinical services providing public health nursing services. And so she is also currently enrolled in UNLV School of Nursing for her doctorate of nursing practice in the executive role. Welcome, Joan. Yay.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much.
What a strong woman. Okay, so I am going to ask you first, can you please describe your role at the Southern Nevada Health District?
Sure. So I am the chief administrative nurse for the division, which means that I have oversight of all the nursing practice here at the health district. And we have about anywhere from 80 to 100 nurses here.
Wow.
And so I also manage programs. I do the immunization program. That's why I'm in the forefront of this vaccine campaign. And then I also help manage a TB clinic, the tuberculosis clinic, and then maternal child nursing services, which is like services that we do home visiting programs so that families have a good start in life and improve their health.
Well, that's a lot of things that you're doing. Okay. All right. Well, Joanne, in the past year has been really extremely difficult, like we said, due to the COVID pandemic. What problems and challenges have you encountered during this pandemic, through your work, and how did you face them?
Right. This has been, this is my 10th campaign for vaccine.
Wow.
And it's the hardest. Why did this happen? I don't know. Maybe all those 9 campaigns prepared me for this. I don't know. But a lot of challenges. One of the things I think we didn't really expect is that the social distancing and the need for us to keep our environment safe and our employees safe. So as we did mass vaccination preparedness, doing these exercises in practice, we didn't really look at that, frankly. I remember H1N1. That was one of our last ones,
Right.
and where we just packed everybody into the gym and we gave vaccine. Right? We can't do that now. We need to really keep mindful of how we do our business right now in healthcare, and that we are sure that when people come in, that we are reasonably saying, they don't have symptoms, and that we keep our PPE, has been like exploding for that need. And those were really huge challenges. They still are challenges, actually, to this day.
But I should say that I got my 2 vaccinations at the Southern Nevada Health District, and my husband got it at the Cashman Center, which is also in collaboration with Southern Nevada Health District. And it is so organized, Joanne. It's so organized.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
Yes, it is.
I wish I could take credit for all of that, but I can't, because as you know, as a leader, one of the things I really is important for me is for my staff to be empowered and enabled to take measures and to evaluate a situation and tweak it so that we do have the best experience we can for our patients. So, I've been doing outreach for a long time, and I have taught a lot of individuals how do you do a clinic. You would think it wouldn't be that hard, but when you come out of your space, out of your brick and mortar healthcare facility, and you go into a gym to do vaccines, it's a lot different. Any type of testing, anything like that, you still have to maintain your it's a medical procedure, right? You still have to maintain all that while in a really noisy, distracting area. So everything must be very organized, and it has to be, so there's no chaos to distract the vaccinator, right? You don't want your people distracted. You must focus on the patient in front of you.
Correct.
And not worry about all this craziness happening behind you. So those are just some really basic things. I could just talk 2 hours on this subject alone on how to do a clinic. So, and I have done that actually. We had a lot of practice. The one of the great things that the government did do was they gave us some grant money to practice with flu vaccine last year.
Oh, great.
So isn't that smart?
That's
and
smart.
We just came out of a hepatitis A outbreak and vaccine campaign among homeless individuals. So we had some of this structure going. And I think using the flu as a practice really helped us get up to speed quick.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
One of the things is we just still needed a lot more to do.
I know.
Still had a long ways to go.
What is the percentage of population that has vaccination now? We had Dr. Le Guin here about 3 weeks ago, and he said about 14% of the population of Nevada had shots, but then at least one shot.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. So let me look at my little presentation here for the board. So I think we're higher as far
definitely.
as number of vaccines initiated, but we're still around that like 14%, something like that. 13%. What we're doing in Clark County, as far as vaccines, in February, the first week of February, we're on 13% completion, which means we gave one dose and now we gave the second dose and they're completed, right?
Right.
We're up to 50% on that now. So that's very encouraging. But as far as how many people have gotten a vaccine for the whole population, it's still around 14. And we're on we're on track with other states. That's pretty much. We're not the worst.
No, I think
we're not the best.
Yeah.
But we're doing on track with those.
Good,
yeah.
good,
Plus,
good.
we're also at the mercy of what allocations the federal government can give us, right? With the vaccines,
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
So-
We're still screaming for more vaccine. Like what I say, we have to rattle a few cages to get. We
I'm
want
sure.
the vaccine. So it's just because of the production.
Yeah.
And it's just not quite available yet. So we are still experiencing. We have higher capacity, which means we can give a lot more vaccine if we just had it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this week we got about 60,000. We're going to get 60,000 doses next
Wow.
week.
Wow.
And we can,
Good.
but we could do more.
Yeah, definitely.
We could go higher, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you definitely have coordinated the process of vaccinations for the community. So I wouldn't even you basically answered the next question I was going to ask you.
Yes. I'm coordinating
Yeah.
the vaccine.
Yeah.
Right. So we go into incident command. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this whole thing.
No,
Like
what's that?
it's like a hierarchy of came from firefighters, and so we have this whole hierarchy of who's going to do what. And so that I'm the incident commander for the vaccine branch.
Yay.
So yeah. So then so we basically plan what we're going to do. We do it in partnership with the county system.
Uh-huh.
So we're working with the firefighters, and they're really great at this stuff. It's been great having them help us out.
Yeah.
And we have our ops supervisor, our ops chief, who is a nurse also, that has been working in vaccines. So we're all working together to kind of just like organize this and make sure we're not duplicating services,
Right.
but we're reaching all the populations we need to.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
And you got a lot of
Challenge.
volunteers too from out of town, like from DC, from the FEMA people and the military, right?
we have so many groups, and
Yeah.
we got to train these folks, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Here, right? You know, and we have like 60 vets here, and I'm not talking about veterans. I'm talking about
veterinarians. Yes,
right?
yes.
They give shots to cows, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
My husband,
and
guess,
man, they are different. They have a different perspective on how to give a shot.
really,
Yeah.
So,
really.
Yeah, a little bit different than nurses do. It's nurses are different than EMTs that are different than EMTs are used to just
Wow.
doing it quick and not worried about the environment so much.
Uh-huh.
Us nurses, we like stuff clean and neat and organized.
Yeah, yeah. I was talking to
We
my
had to,
husband.
really bite our tongue.
Yeah.
My husband
what are
had-
you doing? So we are all working together, and
Good.
we've learned a lot from each other. It's been great, and it's been a great experience. Not that we weren't crying, and sometimes and tearing our hair out, and
Sure.
but we really it's really starting to move really quick.
Yeah.
We would not have been able to do this without them.
Yeah, that's for sure.
The National Guard here, they do it different.
Yeah, the National
and
Guard.
They're all like 20 years old, man. I'm like,
I know.
baby, but they're so quick, and they have so much more energy than some of us who've been in it a while. So
Yeah.
it's energizing just to see staff. Whenever I get I mostly sit in this room and could do stuff by online, but whenever I get oh man, this is never going to work. This is so overwhelming. I go out to see staff, and I hey, how's everybody doing? And they're so positive, and they really are buoyed up by the feedback we've had.
Very good.
Staff has just received really good feedback from.
Yeah.
I mean, patients are crying because they get the vaccine, because they're so relieved.
Yeah.
And it's just so
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean,
You're
it's
right.
really crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I was going to tell you.
that first one, it really is helpful.
I was going to tell you that my husband's 2 shots were given by veterinarian.
Yes,
From DC.
The vet did it, man.
Yeah. So anyway, when do you think we'll get herd immunity, Joanne?
I don't know. I really don't. It depends. It depends on so many things. Whether we have vaccine,
Okay.
what do people perceive as if they need the vaccine? Like if they don't see a threat of the pandemic, then they may not take it. There's so many different factors with that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we really, if everybody wanted a vaccine, we could be done with this by the end of the summer.
Yeah.
No problem.
Wow.
True.
But not everybody's going to do
No.
that.
No, that's true.
So
And I
you
think
have your people who really like it, and they're just like, they're knocking on our door. Or they're like,
Yeah.
come on, let
True.
me in. And then we have some people who are standing back like, I don't know if I want to do that or not.
yeah,
Even in
that's
healthcare.
true.
I
Even
mean,
in
even
healthcare,
all
even in
groups.
healthcare, unbelievable.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
but anyway.
And then we have these folks who are like, I don't think so. The ones who think about nanos and, conspiracy. They give
Oh,
the
yeah.
government way too much credit because we don't
I
have
hear
any
you.
time or energy for that stuff.
That's good. Okay. Well, Joan, let's switch to our next guest, and I'll give you a chance to maybe question each other a little
Sure.
at the end. So our next guest is Miss Joan Ebert. Did I say that right? Okay. Joan Ebert.
Oh,
Okay, great. Joan Ebert is the superintendent of public education for the Nevada Department of Education, and we are so glad that you are here to give your take on the education. Women in education, right? Okay. So Joan is, like I said, he has been a lifelong educator. She is the superintendent of public instruction. She began her career as a math teacher and is later working as a chief technology officer and a chief innovation and productivity officer in the Clark County School District, and as a senior deputy commissioner for the P to 20 education in the New York State Education Department. And during her tenure, graduation rates increased and achievement gaps closed. So Superintendent Ebert champions equity and accessibility and is seeking to close the opportunity gaps and narrow the digital divide. And she's got a whole bunch of stuff in her resume, and she's such a strong and resilient woman. So welcome back. Welcome, I should say. But I think Governor Sisolak appointed you also effective April 2nd, 2019. And in your role, you oversee 17 diverse school districts ranging from Clark County, the nation's 5th largest district, to Esmeralda County with an average student enrollment of under 100 students, and the State Public Charter School Authority. Wow! Awesome. Hoo-hoo! I don't think we can top that, Jen. What do you say?
That's a lot.
Well, thank you for having
I'm glad I went
me
first.
Do you have anything to add to that?
here. No, thank you.
Yeah, just kidding.
Thank you. I love my job, and thank you for noting. I'm coming up on my second year anniversary of what I call my homecoming. I did spend 25 years in the Clark County School District. Started as a math teacher, loved my career there, and then had an opportunity to go work in New York, which was, you work in the 5th largest school district in the nation. You think, I can handle a lot of things. But New York, Nevada, we have 500,000 children. In New York, I had the pleasure of working with folks who oversaw over 3 million children.
Wow.
So
That's
fantastic. But it's good to be home. Just a week from Friday, I'm going to have a party. And
All right.
Yay!
Virtual?
Go Leeds, Nevada.
Okay. Well, can you describe what the Nevada Department of Education is all about and tell us what your role is at the NDE?
Great. So the Nevada Department of Education does oversee all of the work within the 17 school districts and the State Public Charter School Authority. So we like to describe ourselves working with the State Board of Education of defining the what. Like, what do we want our children to know, and what are they able to do by the time they graduate? And so hopefully they'll be able to become like Joanne, a leader, right, in the health profession. They'll grow to become teachers, broadcasts, right, which you're doing. But
I wasn't trained, by the way. Just kidding.
You know, we want to make sure that they have the education level, that they have opportunity and choice after they leave the K-12 system. And so, you know, mathematics, English language arts, all of those areas right now, we're really working with a lot of the families and the children, social emotional well-being. Who would have thought we'd be in a pandemic?
Absolutely.
You know, thank goodness Joanne had practiced giving, you know, vaccines, but now she's in charge of making sure that all of Southern Nevada is vaccinated.
Yeah.
Right. And that's probably a little over 2 million people. You know, so we want to build the capacity of children who will become the leaders in our state. And when we pay attention to education, it absolutely helps the rest of the economy within the state as well. So our job is to make sure the educators, we have over over 30,000 teachers in the state.
Wow.
Within the school districts, and building out the supports that they need as we shift, and the shifts that we've been making, a huge part of the department. And then above all of, not above, but with, as you noted, the governor did appoint me, so I'm part of the governor's cabinet. He has his agendas for education, and so it's our job to carry those out as well.
Fantastic. A woman in power, too. So that's great. Well, Joan, in the past year, this has been a big challenge to all of us, including the NDE, I'm sure, due to the COVID pandemic. And with this pandemic, can you tell us the major changes that Nevada education had to undergo, the challenges that the NDE has faced, and how did you deal with these challenges?
So closing the school buildings last March, and it feels like yesterday.
Oh, wow.
You know, the massive shift. We were having conversation with the superintendents, the charter school authority, the governor, and health officials, right? On how do we make sure that the community is safe. And that was a very difficult decision because there were a lot of things that we didn't know at that point in time, which we know today. And so when that decision was made that schooling now would not happen in a school building, but schooling will happen in your home, at your kitchen table, in the child's room, you know, wherever, on a couch. We had so many families that didn't have equitable access to a device, to a computer, or even families that have means, maybe had one computer for the entire family.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. And kids, you know, used to take turns, all of the things. Well, if you have multiple children now, all needing to learn at the same time, you know, one's in second grade, one's in fifth grade, one's in high school. Each child needs a device.
Right.
And the family needs to have enough bandwidth, internet access to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
So we immediately worked with the governor's COVID-19 task force, and I shouldn't say immediately because they had first worked on all of the PPE work.
Right.
But public-private partnerships brought in AT&T, Cox, CenturyLink, T-Mobile, those that produce devices and said, we need devices. We need to make sure that children have the bandwidth. And in some instances, school districts couldn't find all of the children. Right? Different things happening in families. And so community members, the city of Las Vegas, the city of Henderson, out in Elko, they started going door to door, knocking to find our children. And they would go with devices and hotspots. And so, that difficult piece, that lift and making the determination about schooling, even through the last few months, I will tell you that the entire community stepped up, and we are the only state in the nation, at least I believe. So as today, I knew back in January, we were definitely the only state in the nation that every single child that was learning from a distance in our state had a device and had connectivity.
That's fantastic. Wow.
Huge
That's awesome.
Celebration.
Yeah, it's major.
Major.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we need to take that and take it into the future, right?
Right.
Sure that we continue to have conversations with everyone, that the district and school leaders, now they have connections with philanthropic entities, our business partners. We need to make sure that muscle that we built around all of that work to support our children continues now out into the future.
Wow, that's a huge undertaking, very big. I really commend the current administration for what they did, with education and in healthcare and vaccination too. So, Joan, will the NDE continue to have more changes in policy and processes, I'm sure, due to COVID? And can you share any of the plans of the Department of Education to get the Nevada education to somewhat close to a normal state?
I would love to share with you. Actually, we had a press conference earlier today, and Senator Mo Dennis is introducing a bill on the behalf of the children and the families in Nevada. We've learned a lot about children and families that didn't know that they could learn from a distance, right? We're all used to just dress in the morning, going to the school building, and that's where we learn. We have had some families and teachers say, you know what, I didn't know that I would enjoy it. And they're excelling through this piece. And so we want to keep that momentum going.
Okay.
At the same time, we know that there's children and families that haven't had the same opportunities.
True.
Why, we as a department are really driven on equity. And we need to make sure, because not all of our children start off right on first base.
Correct.
Some of our children are in the dugout, but they all can achieve given the right resources and supports.
Yeah.
And through the pandemic, we've had children that have excelled. It's like a K curve that are doing really great, and we want to see them continue. They might choose to continue learning at a distance, and all 17 school districts are looking at that, providing learning at a distance and choice and voice. And then we also have other children that have not done, and so that's where you kind of get the K. They need to be in a school building.
Right.
Learning at a distance is not their methodology for learning. And so building out into the future, we need to make sure that all of those things that we learned, the best practices for learning at a distance, those things that we know of being in a face-to-face classroom, supports that they need, that we build that out and we continue. Because it helps too. We're a global society.
Yeah,
now,
for sure. Right.
And so, and we've learned through the pandemic that you could almost live anywhere in the world and work almost anywhere.
Right.
And be successful.
For sure.
True.
That is
so
true.
How do we? Except for we want our nurses face to face so they can
Give a shot from
for sure.
That doesn't work.
Actually,
we tried. There has been a lot of discussion about telehealth and face-to-face type of things. So, and especially in behavioral health. So that has been, I would say, Joan, that technology that has been one of our hugest challenges too, is to get enough technology, because we're doing stuff online at the cash. I'm sure you've seen, we're like going on a device, and now we're trying to get, 200 vaccinators and with their support staff, all this technology, and we're the last to get to go for it, and we're just waiting on technology, and that has been one of the biggest issues.
How can I get my QR code on my phone?
Exactly, right?
Right.
So I'm glad you brought up telehealth and telemedicine, because also too, I'm so glad you brought that up. So now think about it. Every single family has a device within their home. And what we've told the families, because some of them do, and we've had this issue in Nevada for a very long time, right? And out in the rural parts of our state, if one of the children is sick in a family, and they have to drive 2 hours, they usually end up taking all of the children out of school.
Right.
And the whole family, then goes in. And so there's misschooling and all of those other things. But now there's a device. And so we've been working with the health officials in telemedicine and saying, and same thing with Dieter too. If we have family members that are out of work, there's a device in the home, and they can use that. Obviously, after the child is done doing their learning, that's the first thing we want the child to do their learning. But then you can use it for the device for telehealth, for other services that may be needed.
Yeah.
So this again, the pandemic. I start to stutter when I think of what it has done to.
It's changed a lot.
Changed, but it also has created these opportunities.
Correct.
That we need to take advantage of and leverage.
It really forced us. It forced our hand. Because I remember talking to rural communities, 5-10 years ago about telehealth, and you know what? They weren't liking it. They really felt that they wanted to see people in person, and that's it. And, and I grew up in a rural community. I come from that school that had like 500 people in it, right? So, but that has really just forced us all to really embrace technology.
Correct.
Look what we're doing right now.
Yes.
I can't tell you how much time I'm saving, even though I'm mostly on the screen all the time. But it really has saved time and made things more efficient, especially for partnerships and things. We don't have to worry about as much, I have to be here and I have to be here. It's just, yes, they're one right after the other, but we're getting a lot done. We couldn't have done this without technology, I'll tell you. Because I've been through campaigns and been through all of these outbreaks and things like that. And it has enabled us to ramp up quick and get these information out and get people to where we need them to be so we can, vaccinate. So
Right.
I'm sure that's the same. You've been able to really open up, like you were saying. I didn't even think about that, where, oh my goodness, we do have technology in their homes. They can't hide from us anymore, right?
That's true. That's true.
That's really awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies. I'd like to let's hear from our civic engagement guru here. Gloria Cowelli is civic leader in the Asian American Pacific Islander community. And she is a founding member of several Pan-Asian organizations dedicated to empowering workers, nurturing and developing leadership in the youth and women, and empowering the AAPI community everywhere. Gloria has served and still serves on boards of several civil rights groups. She was appointed actually by President Clinton to the White House Advisory Commission of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And besides her work in the AAPI community, Gloria has devoted a significant amount of her time promoting the economic development of programs that helps the poor in the Philippines. She was awarded the Link Appeal Award for exceptional contribution to the development and progress of the Philippines by President Ramos. And she is the recipient of the Filipino Women's Network of 100 Most Influential Women in the U.S. and the Global FWN 100 awards. Yay! This is
I'm
an
really glad I was first
amazing
now.
woman. No,
Wow.
Joanne, no.
Congrats.
No, but Gloria has been all over. And, one of the most difficult things, especially in this pandemic, is to engage the public in other things. Right, Gloria?
Well, yes and no.
Oh.
Before I get there, I really wanted to say to these two ladies here, honestly, I listened to you and I'm saying to myself as a community, activist, you should really be talking to people more often outside your really, because it was such an education to listen to you and also to really understand clearer that we are really ahead of the curve, and that from both sides of the spectrum, from the health and the education side, which is really two of the most important things in our community, as we are engaged, through COVID, and now with help with vaccinations and with help with tests, and now children going back to schools and family lives being changed. We went through, a whole year of adjusting to so many things that right now I think Zoom is going to be something of the norm,
Correct.
And we have accepted it, and we have moved forward. Civic engagement in our community is very hard already to begin with.
Correct.
And on a scale from 1 to 3, it is really in 4, as we're not interested. But as I was asked, it really took a different turn with our community in that folks were at home and folks were, it's like our captured audience. We would make phone calls. Let me give an example of trying to have the community participate with the census. Census is no more on anybody's agenda than the man in the moon,
Yeah.
Because, okay, I'm counted. Okay, so what if you want to count me? Why do you want to count me? And also, I've got to be very honest, in our community, it's also, no, I don't want to tell you who I am, what I am, where I am, because, I don't know where this information is really going and how it's going to affect me.
Right.
But, we had a captured audience who decided to then talk to us. And honestly, it turned out to be Education 101 in, who we are, what we are, and why we should engage. Because census gives us a different take on what our needs will be. We need to be counted so that we can address healthcare issues, we can address education, and people listen. And then we were also able to educate the community and finding out what their benefits were during the pandemic, because it was really harsh for them. A lot of folks lost their jobs. A lot of folks had no healthcare coverage. And then in conversation with us, realized, wow, somebody out there is really taking care of us. And it's not as doom and gloom as we think it is. So census has really gotten us to engage. I tell folks, hey, we may be homebound, but we're not helpless, or nor are we hopeless, because there is really hope in the horizon. And the conversations we had with them took us to a different level, in that they started to engage. They started to then realize that, we have benefits that, our county, our governors are, is really working for us. And we also were able to increase voter registration. I'm very passionate about, folks getting engaged, participating more in civic engagement and in the political aspect of everything we do. And so it was really good. And COVID helped us. It really helped us to change the mindset of a lot of folks. And it also gave us an extension of family.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, it's like we heard from folks who were really having a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to reach out to the community to say, well, there's more who need help. And we were able to do projects in the community
Mm-hmm.
that gave them, food. And we were able, as Doris knows, we were able to establish also a program for the healthcare providers, for the frontliners.
Yes.
We did a meals, mask, and shields program.
Correct.
That, we reached out to the frontliners in 11 hospitals, actually, and some senior care homes,
Yes.
to provide folks with the, PPEs they needed. Because
Correct.
at that time, it wasn't as though, government didn't care. It's just that it was needed so much that, we needed also the rank and file and folks to help, and we rose to the occasion.
Yeah, PPE was a big challenge at the beginning of this pandemic. So Gloria and Filipino associations and our PNANV actually stepped up to the plate too. So we're very proud of that. And Gloria, with regards to your community engagement, it showed, because look at the turnout for the election.
It's true. We tell them, just register and vote. We need to hear your voice. We're not going to tell you where you should go with your vote, but we wanted you to participate, because that's what counts. You gotta, the education was actually saying to all, you have a voice, use it, and you really need to also educate the youth, the young ones, your the kids in your family, to say that this is what the norm should be, that your voices should be counted. And the pandemic, being folks staying at home, helped us in that sense, of civic engagement.
Well, that's good to know, because I was going to ask you, because sometimes the AAPI community, it's difficult for them to get fired up to do civic engagement, correct? And
Yes, it is. You are correct. You are correct, because, we come to the workforce here with, and it's not about having baggage, but it has responsibilities. We've got so many folks that we've got to take care of. We've got folks that are here from the Philippines who are saying, well, now I can take care of 4 families instead of just 1 family, because that's the norm. That's what it should. So some folks here have 2 jobs, have 3 jobs. And they say, I don't have time for these other things, I just need to work. And not understanding, little by little, we are able to impact the community to understand, if you understand all these other things, and if you listen to what there is out there, you wouldn't have to work 3 jobs or 2 jobs for that matter, and so it's taken quite a bit of time, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
We're getting there,
and the mindset of a lot of folks.
This lady is all over the place, and she tries to pull me in whenever she can. And so I said, "Okay, Gloria, I'm coming." But she's a community engagement person, guru, however.
What I've got to just qualify that. I spent a lifetime in the labor movement. And so
yes,
it's
that's
really
true.
What has brought me to this point in my life. I've learned, there to speak up for myself. And I've learned also to fight for workers who are especially marginalized. And, I just need to say the shooting, in Atlanta has really sparked a reminder that we have to do more. We have to do more as Asian Pacific Americans, that we really have to, work with the folks, in the community and to say who we are, what we are, and why we're here. Right. And I'm sure, Joanne, you've heard some of our Filipino American nurses who have been verbally abused, because of the rhetoric about the China's flu, and then you brought this, and not realizing that no, we are the ones who are taking care of your folks. We are the ones that are out there in the front lines, you know, making sure that everything goes well, and sacrifices a lot. You know, our families. You know, oh gosh, we know of folks who don't see their families for weeks on out because they have to be quarantined to be able to go to work and hopefully be safe.
Yeah.
And so those are, but you know, and I listen to both of you, and I'm really saying, wow, take this to the community, take the healthcare 101 and education 101, because it's a different, you know, it will bring out a different mindset of folks.
Well, if you have anything,
what is really out there.
If you have anything to say, PHLV Radio can help you with that. And of course, FilipiNars, really, if you have anything, I'd be happy to, you know, have you back on the broadcast. So, Gloria, what community, do you have any specific community organizations that you're associated with?
Well, you know, you mentioned earlier, I've been really at the formation stages of many Asian Pacific American groups and Pan-Asian groups, and really happy to say that most of them are thriving and most of them continue to empower the community. There's a lot of work that has to be done. But, you know, as I said earlier, you know, what being in the labor movement taught me really, you know, when you're in the labor movement, a woman and a minority, you are really a minority of one. Okay. And so I've learned to speak out. I've learned to, you know, I learned to teach folks to recognize that there is diversity in the labor movement. And so I'm very proud of the fact that I was instrumental to the House of Labor, you know, forming the Asian Pacific American Labor Alliance, because, you know, there is a large community out there that they represent, but they didn't know much about.
Right.
So, you know, at that time, you know, it was sort of bullish for me to do that. But then I said, I got nothing to lose. You know, my father always told me, when it is not for you, don't hesitate to ask, you know, because at the end of the day, they'll be sorry they didn't believe you. You know, and that's a big ask, you know. But then I'm also, you know, still very proud of the National Federation of Filipino American Associations, which is now in its 20-some years of being a national organization to work on the issues that affect our community. Correct. So there's like a go-to organization when some of us, you know, are in need, or some of us don't understand certain things. And I'm really very proud of the NAFA, that's how we call it, organization that is the Nevada chapter, because we've done really programs that, you know, uplift the community.
They're awesome.
But, you know, I'm also mentioned earlier, very proud of an organization that gives back. It's we call it Feed the Hungry. And I'm a transplant. I'm out of the Washington, D.C. area. But Nevada was always my state for civic engagement. And finally, 10 years ago, 12 years ago now, my husband and I decided to move here. And so it wasn't as though we were going to somewhere where we didn't know anyone. But it's Feed the Hungry, and it gives back, and it helps folks. We did a lot of homeless projects in Washington, D.C., and of course in the Philippines. And we always rise to help the, you know, disenfranchised, the underprivileged, you know, and also we have a lot of calamities. We have a lot of, you know, storms in the Philippines that, you know, so we are able to rise to the occasion in helping that. So there's many women's groups to it.
That's great. Yeah, you're involved with all those projects, and we're very proud of you. You know, the community here is proud of Gloria. Thank you. Thank you. So I have to ask some questions to all of you, and you know, being that we're trying to celebrate March as National Women's History Month, the theme of the International Women's Day, actually, which was on March 8th, is Choose to Challenge. Organizers' message is that we can choose to challenge and call out gender bias and inequality. Have you ever experienced gender bias and where your capability to do a job has been challenged because you are a woman? And if so, how did you handle it? And you can answer it, or you can just comment on, gender inequity, whatnot. So who wants to go first?
Well, being a nurse, when I was deciding what to do for a living, teacher, I have sisters who are teachers, so I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something different, right? Secretary and nurse. So basically, those were my choices. And so I am in a very woman-dominated group, right? Profession. And so I would say with gender bias, I think I have experienced that. And it's so subtle sometimes that after you think about it, you're like, hey, wait a minute. What was that all about?
Right.
So I do think that is still present. It really upsets me that it is still present because I grew up in the 70s, Gloria Steinem,
Yes.
Burn the, So, it was, that's how I was, that was my theme. And when I went to nursing school, I have to say, our professors were like, no, you're a nurse. It's a profession. You're not the handmaiden. You are there you have a special body of knowledge, and you have your skill set that you bring to the conversation. And still, it's still nursing is seen as a profession that just kind of follows along and we're very task oriented. I will say that.
Yeah.
In public health, we're the workers, other people find problems, we fix them. Vaccine, other people figure out, oh, Joanne, we got Hep A in the homeless population. Oh, okay, well, yeah, we'll go over there and, start giving vaccines. So that's kind of the way I see it. But nursing has a long history of that, of that bias. I mean, straight up discrimination, basically, of having to fight for our right to be compensated fairly in comparison to other professions. I remember a professor back in the 70s said, if nurses were all men, we'd be making twice as much money.
Oh, Lord.
And, I was like, oh, really? Jeez. Oh, my God. Man, what am I getting myself into? So it has improved immensely.
It has.
I made $7.76 an hour my first nursing job, and I was an RN with a BSN. And I'm sure teachers will say the same dang thing, because I know that they did not get paid well. Yeah. And so it has a lot to do with how we value what we do.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's not just that who we are, but what we do. Okay. And childcare, same thing. Teaching, all those women-dominated professions are
still experiencing
not compensated as much as if men were, like pharmacists versus nurses. So that is something. It's kind of why I went for my DNP, my doctor in nursing practice, is because we do need to take some accountability and responsibility for that, and educate our nursing students to stand up for their rights and to also strive forward and up. Okay. With education.
Great. And Joan, do you have anything to say to that?
So to capitalize off what JoAnn was sharing, microaggressions, I still remember, so my degree's in mathematics, and I had a professor that said, don't you know you don't have the genes for math? Oh, and I was like, I was stunned. Luckily, I was an older student. And just kept moving forward. And I think, and thank you for having the resilience piece
Mm-hmm.
in there, that, that will happen, and has happened in society for a very long time. What I would say is again, Joanne leading the way in what she does. Gloria, oh my goodness, I think, that's going to take me like 20 years to even get to where she is, probably 10
Well,
years
you're
back.
young.
But what's exciting in Nevada, what's really exciting, first women majority legislature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know. I was
Yay.
so proud of Nevada for
Very
that.
good. Wow.
I that was so exciting. And not only that, but diverse women.
Yes.
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 Right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
not just, I was thrilled. I have goosebumps right now.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
me too.
The governor still continues to deal with the compensation for women. He ran on that platform. He's worked on it in many aspects. So I think, there are things that have transpired, and, you mentioned Gloria Stein. I feel blessed of all the women that have led the way into the future. And now there are so many more that children that I was in a fifth grade class today that saw me, a woman of color, that they now can see their path to a job just like this. And as we continue to break down those barriers and move forward, I'm thankful for the women in the past, and I'm thankful for all of the women on this show right now.
Yes.
But we are, I think we're accelerating given what has transpired recently in their recent history across all of this, and dealing with anti-racism, gender bias, and all of that work. And education obviously is where we start with our younger.
Very good. As well. Very good. Gloria, you have anything to add or say?
Well, I like I said earlier, I grew up in the labor movement, which is male dominated, and my journey really was a little bit like a rude awakening. Prior to joining the labor movement, I was in a workforce that I thought at that point valued my work, because I always believed that it's about the work you do and the passion you have for the work that really qualifies you or distinguishes you. And early on in my career, I got married, and a year later, while still in that work establishment, we had a child, and I took the maternity leave. I was due for a raise, and when I came back, I was told, but a woman with a child at home would really find it difficult to find another job. I know my jaw fell, and I said, but I'm not looking for another job. I'm looking for my raise. So what's this about? He says, well, we probably should be hiring more men than women, because then we wouldn't have this issues. That incensed me. At that time, there were still employment offices. I called a friend who was there and said, okay, find me a job. Today, right now, find me a job. He says, well, I only have this job that nobody wants, because the woman you're going to work for is so rough and tough, according to folks, that, she can't fill it from within. I said, I don't care. Send me. So I went. Well, I got the job. It took me an hour and a half, though, because the man, the guy making the decision was at the golf course. So we had to wait, and they wouldn't let me leave the office because they were afraid I would change my mind and not come back. So I went back to the office, and the guy is in his watch waiting for me at the door saying, long lunch, huh? I said, no, it was a long interview. I said, and you know what? I said, you can stick this job and shove it. Went to my office, packed my things on the way out, spoke to the women who at that time were called clericals at the door, and said,
wow,
don't take any lip from him. I didn't say lip. I said something else nasty. I said, don't take it from him because believe me, there's a world out there besides here.
Yeah.
So I left.
Yeah.
So then I ended up in the, in the labor movement and male dominated. And as I rose in the ranks, I learned how to speak out and realized that I was bringing to the table, a difference of viewpoints. And I was bringing to the table really an awakening for them on how really to address their members, because they were all male, stale, and some of them frail, So, but it was a great work environment for me to learn from, because it taught me also how to communicate with the community and how to teach the younger folks following. Saying, you just speak up. You got to learn to speak
You're right.
up.
You
and
are
so
right.
That was really my education, and that's how I tell people to step up. Discrimination is there, but if you work on it head on, it does many changes. At that time, it was just a way of life for some companies. We had to fight so hard, and the rallies we've been. I hear you, Joanne, with the Gloria Steinems and the Shirley Chisholms of the world, and my gosh, we were there. So
that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, yes, there was.
Yes.
But I survived it, and. Learn to really impart on the younger generation.
Right.
What we've learned.
Right. Well, thank you, ladies. So one last question for all of you. As a woman leader in your field, what is your message to the other women regarding being strong and resilient? JoAnn?
Well, I'll go first.
Oh, you go first?
Okay, you go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. I tell folks really 2 words: step up. Step up. I tell people step up because whenever or wherever I am really asked to talk to women about leadership and political empowerment, my one constant message is really stepping up, step up and participate equally with the man in the room and let your voice be heard. You gotta be loud, proud, and lead without a doubt. I'm telling you, it works all the time because all of a sudden they go, "Whoa, she's got a voice!" So
I like that. Lead, be proud, and what was that?
Proud, loud, and lead without a doubt.
Okay.
Step up.
All right. Okay. JoAnn or Joan?
Joan, go ahead.
Well, what's interesting is mine is can do. Peter Block wrote the answer to how is yes.
Yeah.
And it's just the continued movement, the forward progress. There may be setbacks, and there's setbacks for all of us. Again, and what's funny is I don't know why I keep going back to the 5th graders today, but I just had a great time with them. But they asked, do I ever have a bad day? And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But then I pick myself back up. I have a conversation, if I need to go out for a walk, do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow is a new day and I can take advantage and continue to move forward. So I live with the can do attitude.
All right. Yeah. Love that. And Miss JoAnn, you have the last word.
Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know how, I have to say yes. I say yes a lot. And my staff is like, what are you doing? We can do that. You can't you? We can do that. No problem. So I'm big on problem solving. So we can definitely get that done. And I don't know. I just keep moving forward and keep my eye on the goal. And for us, our goal is keep your eye on the customer and the patient and what you're really there for.
Yeah.
We're not here to we're here. Yes, we're here to earn money. We're here for different reasons that we work. But what it comes down to, what we're doing is we're making that patient's life a little bit better by them not getting COVID. Okay.
Yes.
So, or not having, taking care of their family or enabling them to take care of their family. So that's kind of what we just keep our eye ahead and moving forward. And looking back a little bit, we screwed that up, whatever. But like you said, just keep moving and going after it. People they say, Joanne, you just keep going forward no matter what happens. We're just moving on. And
Okay.
I say yes a lot too.
Wow. Yeah. Well, ladies, my hat's off to you. I applaud you. And thank you very, very much for coming to the show today. On behalf of FilipiNars, PNANV, and PHLD Radio, I would like to thank you all for coming today to let us know what you do, how strong and resilient you are. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Gloria?
I know, I thank you, but I just wanted to share something with Joanne. That saying on your wall really got me. I wrote it down, but I want to share something with you. But I do this all the time, and I hear it. And when I was, when my daughter was, I think she was 14 or something. My job took me away so much and worked so much, but she was always of the mindset that, hey, when you need mom's home. Okay, it was the kind of job I had. So she sent me this one, and I have kept it all this year. It says, "Life should not be a journey to the grave, with the intention of arriving safely in an attractive and well-preserved body, but rather skid sideways, chocolate in one hand, martini in the other, body thoroughly used up, worn out, and screaming, woohoo, what a ride."
All right.
Oh, man.
I love that. Thank you.
You are all like my sisters, I feel. That's
all
great.
right. Well, thank you again, ladies. And to our listeners, we leave you with this. There's a definition of a resilient woman. It says, a resilient woman is a woman who trusts herself and follows her intuition. She has realistic optimism, believing that the situation will work out for her and all involved, but knowing that it will require hard work on her part. Her conviction also comes from deep faith. So, ladies and gentlemen, our guests today have shown all resilience and strength. Being a woman is still challenging these days, but hey, we all rise to the occasion. And just like that old television ad says, you've come a long way, baby. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Doris Bauer, your FilipiNars host, signing off for now.
The Philippine Nurses Association of Nevada has just brought you FilipiNars, news and features about the Filipino-American nursing community and beyond. Fridays, 7 p.m. on PHLV Radio.